We break down the tight end position and also the Cole Kmet trade rumors next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Just search for Unbearable Sports and you can download it. Spotify, you name it. We're out there in podcast land. What's going on, Bears fans? Hopefully you're having a great week. We continue our countdown to training camp series, and today we're breaking down the tight end position. So we've done the wide receivers, done running backs. Hey, we're just going to go straight offense. And now's the best time because, like I kind of teased, we did talk, there's some rumors out there with Cole Kmet potentially being traded. And just like with everything, anytime that there's rumors, I like to break it down because with rumors, you have to understand where the rumors are coming from, why they are out there. Is it coming from a source? Is it coming from an article that's trying to get clicks? That's what we'll be talking about when we break down Cole Kmet. But as we always do, we'll break down the roster changes we've added, who we've gotten rid of. We'll break down each individual player. We'll also start talking a little bit about the backups, the over-unders, all those different things. And the last but not least, did we get better at the tight end position? So let's get right into it, shall we? Let's talk about some of these roster changes that we had with our departures. Now, we only really had 2 big departures because we're talking about the tight end position. We talked about the fullbacks when we were breaking down the running backs. But really, our main departures are Gerald Everett and Mercedes Lewis. If you can call it a main departure, those are at least the 2 people that ended up leaving the team from last year. And when you look at it a little bit deeper, like we said, all of our different fullbacks have been gone. I still wish we would have kept Brandon Bates. I don't know why we got rid of him. He's actually doing very, very good things right now, but we had him on the team. He did great in the preseason, but we decided to keep Stephen Carlson instead of him. So head scratching move right there, to say the least. But when you look at the tight end depth chart from last year, really Gerald Everett, Mercedes Lewis being the 2 people that we lost, quote unquote. But then what we have now is the 2 additions, Durham Smythe as our 3rd tight end and Coulson Lovelin as our 2nd tight end. Still, right now, Cole Kmet penciled in as the starter, the only person getting the number 1 snaps since Coulson Lovelin, which we'll talk about later, has been banged up. And then Durham Smythe was someone we brought over from Miami, someone that was very familiar with Ben Johnson when he was over at Miami. And then also Stephen Carlson as the 4th string, and Joel Wilson, who we'll talk a little bit more about later on in this show. So right now, that's your depth chart as it sits, and honestly, pretty good. When you consider Stephen Carlson being that technically 4th tight end, still being out there, just an okay person to have at the position. But I like the idea of having Smythe, Loveland, and Cole Kmet. So let's get into the Cole Kmet piece, the Cole Kmet saga, if you will. So Cole Kmet has been one of our favorites on the show just because just his personality, like I've always said, you can tell he's a Bears fan playing for the Bears. And then last year, I know a lot of people kind of turned on him a little bit. He had the podcast, and then, ironically enough, it's one of those coincidences. I think not. He starts up the podcast, and his play really did dip. It's right now I just have the PFF grades up here, but you just saw it. He had one of his worst seasons as a pro since his rookie year. In his rookie year, he caught 259 passing yards or 259 receiving yards. Then he had 600 plus yards, then 544, then 719, and then 474. Now, part of this could just be the way that the offense was set up. Not a lot of balls going his way or were supposed to go his way, but also too, maybe it's a matter of Caleb Williams' preferences. But it was someone that we've always kind of clamored for. It's easy to just get the ball to Cole Kmet, and Cole Kmet is a good tight end. I still stand by that. But even when you look at last year, it was also one of his worst PFF grades. Yet again, these are just PFF grades, but a 60.6 offensive grade, a 58.6 receiving grade. Someone who was also considered a leader in the locker room last year. We'll see how that kind of trickles over onto this year. But my take on Cole Kmet, when we watched the tape, we break it down every Monday after the games. Cole Kmet, as a blocker, I think he's a little bit overrated. I think we look at him as 6'6", 260, so we just assume he's going to be this phenomenal blocker. But in the running game, I didn't see as much as you would like to see in the run game. There's a lot of times missing blocks. So we'll see what happens this year. But he is more of a traditional inline tight end compared to a Coulson Lovelin, which we'll break down later. But the whole piece, right? Let's talk about these trade rumors. Because like I teased before, you got to know where this is coming from. Now, I have actually the where this is actually coming from, where these quote unquote rumors are coming from. And really the article that people are referencing, that people are pointing to, is really just a, hey, who are people that might be traded this offseason? They're not saying, it's not someone reporting, hey, I've heard that the Bears are actively trading Cole Kmet. No one is saying that. No one, as far as we know, as I'm recording, is saying the Bears are shopping him or saying the Bears are getting rid of him. What's going on is people are just speculating. It's the speculation of, hey, if, like in the article, they say, hey, if you trade him, you can get rid of $11.6 million or over $10 million in cap savings, which is a nice thing. So that's why people have always kind of talked about the Bears potentially trading Cole Kmet even before they added Coulson Lovelin. Then obviously with them adding Coulson Lovelin, the article also calls that out, saying, hey, now the Bears have two good tight ends. So now you have two tight ends. Now what? And Ben Johnson has a lot of draw inside of the player personnel department. So, hey, is he actually going to be going? Also, too, the other piece that they kind of draw out is saying, hey, the Kansas City Chiefs need a tight end. Travis Kelce's getting old. The Chargers need a nice tight end. So that's where the available, like, people want a tight end. So will they get rid of this tight end? And also, Matt Nagy coached Cole Kmet for 2 seasons before Matt Nagy was let go. So that's the reason. That's where it's not necessarily a rumor based on actual, like, hey, the Bears want to trade him. It's just saying, it's kind of just putting pieces together and saying, hey, if you get rid of him, you save money and people need a tight end, and they drafted a tight end. So that's where this is coming from. It's not really rooted in actual trade negotiations, in actual trade conversations. It's all speculation. So I want to make that clear. And my personal take on this is, why not just keep Cole Kmet for another year or 2 years? Because tight ends, as we've seen, unless your name is Sam Laporta, tight ends or Brock Bowers, tight ends need multiple years to get better. And Coulson Lovelin missed all of rookie minicamp, missed all of mandatory minicamp. So it doesn't make sense to trade away a tight end when your rookie who needs to learn the ropes needs to learn and understand this offense. So that to me, I think it's very, very unlikely that they get rid of Cole Kmet. See how he is in this offense. And also, too, the other point, they run a lot of 12 personnel. And for those that don't know, 11 personnel is when you have 1 running back, 1 tight end. And 12 personnel is when you have 1 running back and 2 tight ends. Now, last season, Ben Johnson ran the 3rd highest rate in the regular season in 12 personnel. And keep in mind, this is with Brock Wright as your backup, not a Cole Kmet potentially or Coulson Lovelin as your backup. They like to run 12. Ben Johnson likes to run 12 personnel. And you look at the numbers too. Tim Patrick, their 3rd wide receiver, 671 snaps last year. Brock Wright, their number 2 tight end, 598 snaps. So yet again, just kind of adds to the thing. The Bears Ben Johnson likes to run 2 tight end sets out there. He has 2 good tight ends. So yeah, maybe down the road, would they actually think about trading him? Yes, they have Durham Smythe as another player that they have along that yet again knows this system pretty darn well. It makes Cole Kmet and Durham Smythe more expendable by the drafting of Coulson Lovelin. So if Kmet is able to live up to the expectations and be a good player, I don't see why you don't just want to keep him on. I know that there's just so much chatter. Anytime you can get rid of a player and save some money, people try to do that. I like the idea of having Cole Kmet on here. I like the idea of having him here and help out a Coulson Lovelin. So if it becomes a fractured relationship, which by all means, what we know about Cole Kmet, it should not do that. So to me, I think that Cole Kmet's going to be here. I think he's going to stay here. And I think it's going to be a crazy good tight end combo that we have. Now, we broke down the wide receivers. We still have great weapons out there too. So, yeah, if you have too many weapons, then maybe that if you're getting a good return. So, to me, Cole's going to stay. So, let's keep on moving on, though. That's enough trade chatter. Let's get into the Coulson Lovelin pieces because Coulson Lovelin, we've talked about him a lot. And I've shown my kind of general breakdown on him. He was our 10th pick overall. And Coulson Lovelin, what I can tell you about this guy is he's a phenomenal route runner. Like, just phenomenal. When we were watching the tape, I think YouTube has taken down that video. So unfortunately, you can't see it or rewatch it. But when we were going through it, like, he's a better route runner than Luther Burden, who I've said is just Luther Burden is like the epitome of he can run good routes. Coulson Lovelin is a phenomenal route runner. Phenomenal. And that's the thing that you get out of him is, yeah, he's better than Cole Kmet at running routes. I could tell you right now, right now, he's a better route runner. Coulson Lovelin just runs such smooth, quick routes, gets open very, very easily. And the thing too, so the negatives, as we've said, it's that functional strength, which is a little bit nerve-wracking because he's recovering from that AC joint surgery. And more that we've heard is that he had that AC joint surgery in January. So that's usually a 6-month timeline. So he should be healthy in July. So he should be able to be there for week 1 of training camp. So fingers crossed everything goes well, but that's kind of the overall timetable. That's the time frame. We should panic, or we should start to panic if he's not there day 1 and not able to practice, because then it might be more serious than normal. But this is just, with him sitting out, this is all kind of according to what they knew about that AC joint surgery. But the big thing that I am actually, another reason why to not trade away Cole Kmet immediately, Coulson Lovelin lacks this functional strength. He's 6'6", around 250 pounds. You see it in his game. He is a phenomenal blocker when it comes to defensive backs. He just locks on, drives them, and it's because fundamentally he's a good blocker. He seems to have the mindset. He seems to know how to block. But when he's put up against, and these were college defensive ends, he just gets absolutely cooked, absolutely smoked, like not even close. So that's the thing is he doesn't have the strength to go against some defensive ends, which yet again, do you want him going one-on-one against DNs every single time? No, but there are a lot of times that you do have to just kind of at least hold your line. When he was asked to do that, he was really just tossed aside. So that's where, like with the AC joint, he said he can't lift a lot of heavy weights, which is the thing that he really needs to be doing is putting on some extra mass, I feel, if you want him to actually be an inline tight end. That's why to me, this is a big slot that you're going to be putting out there with occasional snaps in line as well. It's not like he can't be an inline player. Against linebackers, he's a little bit better, but man, him blocking defensive backs, phenomenal. And that's where you're going to have, he's a huge mismatch because he needs to be covered by a defensive back. But then if you run it his way and he's blocking a defensive back, he can kind of bulldoze him out of the way. So really, very, very good smooth route runner, very good receiving option. Reminds me of Tyler Eifert. And this is where he's just a weapon. My biggest, then besides the functional strength, my other little concern that I have is just what he does after the catch. It's always been something that I bring up with him. So to me, I think that he's a receiving tight end, but you see all the best tight ends in the game are the ones that can also do something after the catch. So I think for right now, I don't mind him just being a receiving option that you have. And that's part of the perks of having all these different weapons. There's not as much heat and pressure that needs to be put on him right out the gate. So those are our number 1, number 2 tight ends. But let's talk about number 3. Like we said, maybe this guy's on the chopping block with the addition of Coulson Lovelin and Cole Kmet. Personally, I would just want to keep them. Like I'd rather keep good bodies like a Durham Smythe. Now, Durham Smythe is not someone who moves the needle as a true player. He's billed as a run blocker, as a true blocker. But for those that are watching out there on YouTube, you can see PFF does not agree. His overall grades have always just kind of fluttered around the below average marks. And then his run blocking is a lot of times in the 50s for the grades. So now, like I said, Durham Smythe is not a phenomenal player. He's just one of those guys that flies under the radar. He's someone that if you ask Dolphins fans, hey, we got Durham Smythe, what do you think? They probably don't have many opinions of Durham Smythe, but he does play a lot of snaps and someone that, like we said it before, knows Ben Johnson, knows this potentially this offense that they might want to run. That's why I like him as just a veteran. You need a veteran. You need someone that is familiar with the offense. So you have Cole Kmet, who can be a leader. Then you have a Durham Smythe, who can be someone that can help you with the offense. Yet again, if Coulson Lovelin comes in and is a leader, then yeah, you lean into that. But to me, I like those three as being kind of a core, as your replacement of the Mercedes Lewis, your replacement of Gerald Everett, who did nothing the season before. But if we continue going into our backups, some other players that we have the Stephen Carlson. Like we've said, this is his third year with the Bears, second or third year with the Bears. Just has been that fourth tight end you rarely see out there. He's replaceable. He definitely is a replaceable level tight end. So that's where you then see Joel Wilson. And Joel Wilson was someone that, I was going to say Matt Nagy, Ben Johnson called out as someone who actually has impressed him. He was a undrafted rookie free agent from Central Michigan, has not played an actual regular season snap, but was with Central Michigan for 5 seasons. In his final season, had over 440 receiving yards and earned himself a 73.6 PFF grade, and an over 80 receiving grade and an over 66 pass blocking grade. So someone that 6'4", 250, decent size, like a little bit shorter, but just decent build, being 250 at 6'4". But still, like we were talking about, Coulson Lovelin needs to add weight, and he's 6'6", 250. Joel Wilson, good size, seems to be someone that has impressed Ben Johnson. And quite frankly, I want to see him. I think it's going to be a competition between him and Stephen Carlson for that fourth tight end position. If not, Joel Wilson will just be battling himself for this practice squad, just trying to prove that he deserves to stay on this team. So now, goes to probably everyone's favorite spot when we go through the overs and unders. These over-unders are things that I have set and created, and ones that these are specific to the tight end position. So keep that in mind. This is tight end specific, not with the overall overall team. So the first thing, I didn't know how to phrase this because I just, I only have like 10 letters that I can use in my little graphic. But the first one, I put rookie lead tight end. And what I mean by that is Coulson Lovelin going to be the leader at the tight end position? Like leader in receptions, leader in yards, leader in touchdowns. So let me know. Do you think that? So over means you think Coulson Lovelin is going to be the leader in receptions, receiving, everything like that. Under means you disagree. To me, I think that it's still going to be Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet is the veteran. Cole Kmet is someone who is a very reliable target. And also, too, I think that Coulson Lovelin's probably going to get more schemed up targets because you heard Ben Johnson yell at Cole Kmet because he didn't do something correctly. And he said, hey, I'm trying to get you the ball. Like they have things. And from what I have heard, there are one thing that you see a lot of next level play callers do, like Ben Johnson did in the past with Sam Laporta, and also something that Mike McDaniel has done. I think Kyle Shanahan has done this as well, but it's really something that Ben Johnson likes to do. They'll put the tight end in motion in order to do a route. Now, if you think about that, tight ends are big, lumbering people. They're being covered most likely by a linebacker. And if you get them ahead of steam for them to run a route, they have the advantage with a lot of these different things. And a lot of times, too, they're also in commotion. They're also in, they're in the middle of the field when they're inside of the motion. So it's hard for a linebacker to try to keep track of them. So this is something that they're going to be scheming up a lot of targets. I still think that Cole Kmet's going to be the guy. So I'm going to say under. I do not think that Coulson Lovelin is going to be the lead tight end. Next, 1,000 receiving yards for the tight end position group as a whole. Now, if you keep in mind, 2 years ago, Cole Kmet had over 700 yards. Last year, only 400 yards. This is one that maybe I should have lowered it to 800. I think it's going to be slightly under, but I think that this could be a good over potential just because we'll see how Coulson Lovelin is doing. Because we have not seen Coulson Lovelin, how healthy he is going to be, I'm hesitant to say over. So that's why I'm going to say a little under, because I think both of them can have 400. To say both of them get 500 yards, I don't think is outlandish just because of the way that they might be getting leveraged and used inside of this offense. But I'm going to go under. I think under is the safe bet with that. And next piece is the trades. So I've already kind of discussed this. Do I think there's going to be over or under a trade happen at the tight end position? I'm going under. I don't think it's the year. And if they really do think that they would be better off without him, I trust Ben Johnson. But it does get you nervous because last time we traded a tight end who was this far along in his career was Greg Olsen. And now, I'm not saying Cole Kmet is to the level that Greg Olsen was. Greg Olsen was truly more of a receiver. I still don't think that you need to. I still go back down to that. And next, targets. 100 targets for the entire tight end position. I'm going to say over. Believe it or not, I'm going to say that this is an over. I think that they're going to be getting the tight end position heavily involved. Scheming up targets, easy stuff, easy completions. I think with Coulson Lovelin, Cole Kmet, I just think that they're going to be scheming this position up. So believe it or not, I'm going to go over with that. I think Cole Kmet still had 70 or 80 targets anyways. So I think it's going to be an easy over, even though that sounds crazy. So that's the over-unders. Like I said, if you comment this down below in the comments, make sure to just include what you're saying over, under to. And last but not least, did we get better at the position? We have to compare, right? The people we got rid of, I'll kind of toss out the fullback position, and we're just going to really look at Gerald Everett and Mercedes Lewis versus Coulson Lovelin and Durham Smythe. So first off, Cole Kmet. I'll first start off with Cole Kmet, right? I think Cole Kmet's going to have a better year. There was a lot of that lack of direction with what they should be doing. And Cole Kmet, you do see this when you look at the PFF grades, like we said before. Cole Kmet has been someone that has steadily been progressing. And then all of a sudden, this Shane Waldron stuff happens, and he just drops off, and he just did not look the part. He did not look like the Cole Kmet that we're accustomed to seeing. I think that Cole Kmet is going to be better. I think he's going to play better. I think he's going to have a better season. And then you go over to Coulson Lovelin versus Gerald Everett. I think we all know what happened with Gerald Everett. He was easily someone that when people were talking about someone who just did not buy into the system, it was clearly Gerald Everett, was not held accountable, did not do well at all. Still a surprise to me because he was good for the Chargers. The coaching staff knew him and just did not do anything here. Coulson Lovelin will be better. I think that's not an outlandish take. And then last but not least, Durham Smythe versus Mercedes Lewis. I think they're about going to be break even. Mercedes Lewis committed a lot of penalties, did not look great last year. Was a decent pass blocker. I'll give him that. But I think that Durham Smythe, just overall meh type of player. I think it's just okay. But then we come back with Stephen Carlson. So overall, this is a better position group. You replace Gerald Everett with a Coulson Lovelin. And I think at your third tight end spot, you're going to be about break even. So this is another position group I feel good about. I think overall, you're just seeing that because we didn't really lose many players, and the people that we did lose, like a Gerald Everett, you're able to get somebody that could just make you better. So let me know down below. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree? Also, do you think that Cole Kmet is going to be traded? Let me know down below. And with that, make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also download the podcast. And if you're listening, go out to wherever you listen to your podcast and rate the show 5 stars for me. And thank you all so much. Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a